In the context of World's Oceans Day, I would like to say a few things about oceans and their importance to the human beings. Planet Earth is the only habitable planet in the solar system and also very much different from other planets. Earth covers nearly three-fourths of its surface, 70 to 75%, by the water bodies and mainly oceans. 45% of these oceans are called as high seas, which means they don't belong to any country, but they are international waters. The health of the oceans are tied up with the health of the human beings. Oceans are the lungs of the planet, providing most of the oxygen that we breathe. They are the major source of food as well as medicine. They are the important part of the world's biosphere. People derive innumerable benefits from oceans. Oceans serve as the world's largest source of protein, with more than 3 billion people depending on them as the primary source of protein. Another 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal biodiversity for their livelihoods. Oceans absorb 30% of the carbon dioxide produced by humans and safeguard the people from the impacts of climate change. These oceans are now in danger. The challenges to oceans continue to grow, and therefore people need to look for more novel solutions to these issues. The theme of the 2020 World Oceans Day is innovation for a sustainable ocean. The innovation relates to the introduction of new methods, new ideas, new products, and new surfaces. These innovations need to be promising, they are proven, and must be capable of to demonstrate the ability to scale up effectively. In the week that follows the World Oceans Day from 8th June, several institutions and organizations in the world would be exploring the innovations across categories that include technology, systems infrastructure, resource management, consumer products, finance, and scientific research. These are the areas in which we have to find new solutions, very innovative solutions to help the oceans from the damage. Also, these groups are going to prepare a draft indicating how these innovations can be applied, their impact, and necessary resources to transform them into long-term solutions for maintaining the health of the oceans and the planet. This exercise is very significant in the context of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development beginning next year. That means from 2021 to 2030, the whole world will be looking at the oceans under the United Nations and try to develop proper scientific approach for the sustainable development of the oceans. During this decade, it is expected to reinforce the international cooperation essential to develop scientific research and innovative technologies that can relate ocean science with the needs of the society. What are the challenges that the oceans are facing? The recent report under UN, prepared by more than 100 international scientists, based on more than 7,000 research publications, released in September 2019, found that the climate change is severely hurting the world's oceans, creating risks for the marine diversity mainly, and food supplies and coastal zones. In addition to these effects of the climate change, the humans are also giving stress to the oceans in terms of overfishing, causing industrial and plastic pollution, and then altering the habitat near the coastal areas. And these additional stresses are further harming the oceans, particularly the marine ecosystems. You should remember the marine ecosystems are very important, as important as the ecosystems on the land surface. Let's go by one these challenges. The first one is the oceans are heating up and losing oxygen. Ocean warming is most dominant because 93% of the heat due to temperature increase is stored in the ocean as heat energy, whereas only 1% in the atmosphere. Of this 93% of heat energy, 64% is stored in the upper layer of the ocean, which is generally referred to 700 meters from the surface of the ocean. And below that, about 30% of the heat energy. Now, you may say what this heat energy is going to do. What is the magnitude, the quantity of this heat energy that affect the marine ecosystems? To get a feeling for this, let's look at the Hiroshima atomic bomb explosion during the World War II. Recently, one Chinese scientist has worked out the heat energy that goes into the ocean in terms of the energy released by the atomic bomb explosion. The Hiroshima bomb atomic explosion released 63 billion joules of heat energy. 63 billion, that means 63 followed by 90. Again, the heat energy released by one atomic bomb explosion, let us say reference to Hiroshima bomb, is 63 billions of heat, 63 billion joules of heat energy. So if you take this as a unit, the heat absorbed by the world's oceans in the last 25 years, if you calculate, it will work out to be 3.6 billion atomic bomb explosions. 3.6 billion atomic bomb explosions for 24 years, the total heat energy. Which means, if you work out, we have been dumping heat of 4 atomic bombs, released by 4 atomic bombs every second for the last 25 years. So imagine that amount of energy is going to simply sit there? No, it is destroying the marine life. In general, the whole marine ecosystems. In January 2020, a study released found that last year, 2019, was the hottest year for the oceans. Actually, from 2015, the temperatures have been slowly rising and found to be the hottest years in the history of the temperatures of oceans. And in that, it has culminated to be the most hottest in 2019. Ocean acidification, acidification is another problem. This is the impact of the increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The ocean uptake of the atmospheric carbon dioxide led steadily to the acidification of the seas. What happens? The pH of the ocean waters decreases. If you look at the pH values from mid of 18th century, that is the time people refer as the start of the Industrial Revolution, the pH of ocean surface waters reduced by 0.1. looks very insignificant. But if you put it, it is equivalent to increase of 26% of hydrogen ion concentration. The temperature rise on one side, the ocean acidification on the other, both together, right, affect the marine ecosystems. For example, mainly the mangroves, which play a very dominant role at the times of cyclones and storms. They are being affected. Then also, mangroves have got other benefits also, which I am not explaining now. The impacts are not only destroying mangroves and so on. They also include melt ice from bottom of the ocean, coral bleaching, very important, very critical, sea level rise, alarming, and reduction of the dissolved oxygen in the ocean waters. When the oxygen becomes less, what happens? Suppose our oxygen in the atmosphere becomes less, what happens? We cannot breathe, right? Same thing is happening to the marine life. So, I will give one example for this. Heat waves. Heat waves in sea, just like heat waves we have been experiencing for the last few years on the land. So severe heat waves in the sea, again, is a damaging factor for the life, marine life. One example recently happened in 2013 to 2015. It is called North Pacific blob because it happened in the North Pacific Sea. And that heat wave during that period, it was estimated that 100 million cod fish were killed. These stresses, right, on oceans pose very high risks to generally the entire marine ecosystems. The decrease of oxygen I was mentioning, a report released a few months back, December 2019, shows that the oxygen declined by 2% over the last 50 years. Once again, as I told you, oxygen reduction is again an issue. Changes in ocean salinity, these are all consequences, right? Ocean salinity. The global warming activated certain regions, more evaporation dominated, and some rainfall dominated. The evaporation dominated regions lie in the mid latitudes. So the result is they become more saline. The rainfall dominated regions occur in the tropical areas and the polar regions. And the result is they become less saline. That means more fresher. So this has been observed since 1950s. These regional trends in the ocean salinity are the indirect proof of how the warming has changed the evaporation and precipitation rates on the oceans around the world. The next challenge is the sea level rise. That is the one mostly worrying the scientific community. Because warming of Earth has led to melting of ice, mainly. The glaciers, right, which lie on the slopes of the highest mountains in the world, carry lots of ice. For example, the mountains Andes, the European Alps, the Himalayas, the mountains in Central Asia, northern Siberia, in Russia, in Chile, so on, a number of countries. And then ice sheets in the Greenland, where Greenland is situated near the Arctic region, and the ice sheet is melting. Then Antarctic Sea, near the South Pole, considered to be the coldest region on Earth, that is melting. And what happens melting of this ice? It was found, estimated by several groups, that 100 gigatons of ice melt leads to about 0.28 millimeters of sea level rise. Over the 2000 years, last 2000 years, the sea rise has been slow, but picked up since early 2000 or early 20th century. Early 20th century. And between the last 110 years, from 1900 to 2010, the average sea level rise globally was 19 millimeters plus or minus 2, which means it is equal to about 7.5 inches. Currently, the average sea level rise is 2.84 millimeters per year. About 39% of this sea level rise can be explained by thermal expansion of water. 31% of rise is due to the melting of glaciers, 12% due to the melting of Greenland ice sheet, and 10% due to the melting of Antarctic ice sheet, and about 0.38 millimeters per year due to the land water storage. An estimated 600 million people live directly on the world's coastlines, among the most hazardous places, getting exposed to the impacts of climate change. Several sprawling metro cities. I will give two typical examples. New York City in the United States, Dhaka in the Bangladesh, are there very close to the sea intrusion. More importantly, this is a really very important issue, that several small island states in the southern seas, southern Pacific, southern Indian Ocean, and so on, such as Tuvalu, Kiribati, Samoa, Fiji, Malta, and so on, they are highly vulnerable for submerge. The third challenge that the oceans are facing are the bleaching of the coral reef, and additionally they are being ravaged by the cyclones and the storms. Coral reefs, as you know, are home for innumerable fish species and several other marine life. They are aesthetic also. They are very beautiful, containing several colors, and so they attract tourism. The warmer sea troubles these coral reefs. The Great Barrier Reef, you must have heard it, is the world's biggest reef, which is positioned to the northeast of Australia, the biggest in the world. Australia released aerial data very recently, showing example after example of overheating and severe damage along this reef. It's a bleaching, simply bleaching. This particular reef, as you know, has been the study ground for thousands of researchers related to marine biology. Similar situation also happened to other major reefs, mostly the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. There is a big reef there. In Caribbean, in Black Sea, in Caspian Sea, and so on. In addition to this bleaching, as I mentioned, storms and cyclones often again fueled by the climate change, are also taking a toll. Last September 2019, Hurricane Dorian destroyed about 30% of the reefs around Bahamas Islands, which lie to southeast of US, according to the assessment by scientific groups. To mention, I had the opportunity to these coral reefs near the Bahamas. The fourth challenge that the oceans are facing is the most severe one, the plastic pollution and the industrial pollution. Industrial pollution is because several major industries are located near the coastlines all over the world. So they release all their pollutants into the sea, not minding what will really happen to the marine life. The plastic accumulation in the oceans and on our beach has become a global crisis. In about 40% of the world ocean surfaces, where generally the convergence takes place, billions of pounds of plastic can be found. At these rates, plastic is expected to outweigh all the fish in the sea by another 20 years by 2050. Studies estimate there are now 15 to 50 trillion pieces of plastic pieces in the world oceans, right from the equator to the poles, from Arctic ice sheets to the seafloor. Not one square of mile ocean surface anywhere on the earth is free of plastic pollution. That is the extent we humans are throwing plastic rubbish into the oceans. Plastic pollution has a deadly effect on marine wildlife because most of them either eat them as food or get tangled in the plastic rubbish. Thousands of seabirds, sea turtles, seals, and other marine mammals are killed each year after eating this plastic or getting entangled in it. Endangered marine wildlife like Hawaiian monk seals and Pacific sea turtles are among the most important 700 species that eat or get caught up in this plastic and are dying. These are listed under the extinction marine life. Floating between California and Hawaii Islands in the Pacific Sea is a huge zone of floating trash, which has been increasing not linearly but exponentially in the north central Pacific Sea. This is called Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Great Pacific Garbage Patch, the largest area. And we have such ones, about 5 in number, all over the globe. The problem is the plastics are forever because they do not go away. So how to stop? What the individuals can do? We can do a few things. One is using of plastic covers can be reduced. We can send them the used covers for recycling. We can participate in the seashore cleaning. We can support the laws for banning of the plastic. And we can spread the most important one. We can spread the awareness on plastic pollution and its ill effects. Plastic pollution also disfigures the beautiful beaches, the coastlines, and the dive sites all the world over. Ladies and gentlemen, the Some of the creatures, like sharks, like whales, dolphins, walruses, dugongs, sea otters, are all mammals in large numbers that live in the ocean. There are some creatures in the ocean, they illuminate themselves by the process called bioluminescence. It happens when certain chemicals mix together along with some oxygen from water in a particular part of the animal body. Therefore, looking at these major challenges that the oceans are facing, which are creating risk, not an ordinary risk, the greatest risk to the marine ecosystems in general. Therefore, a worldwide movement of citizens is very necessary to raise awareness about the role of the United Nations and the role of the international law for the sustainable management and use of oceans, which are our wealth and our future promise.